Today we get to realize that if you use enough force early enough, you may not have to use more later. Hey everybody, welcome to the Active Self-Protection bonus badge cam lesson for the day. I am the host of the Active Self-Protection podcast, Mike Williver, and you already know our good friend John Correa. Brought this guy on because of 30 years of law enforcement experience. Today's badge cam comes to us out of Los Angeles, California.
Now more than ever, you need trusted coverage to help you win the fight after the fight. The company I trust and recommend is Firearms Legal Protection. They offer discounts on all their plans at the link in the description. I recommend the premium plan.
So these folks are just ordering at the drive-thru when this guy is gonna walk up and try to jerk the door open and start yelling at these people he's had zero interactions with whatsoever. And you're gonna see him come over to the passenger side again, and he's gonna go back and forth around these guys as the person outside is like, here, you want your soda pop?
Please take your Dr. Pepper.
Please have your Dr. And the driver's like, no, I'm not gonna do that. That seems like a bad idea.
Yeah.
How much can I roll it down? So I was gonna come over and start yelling at them. And Mike, I'm aghast at this, but you're a longtime resident of California.
Yeah. I've been here in Free America, Arizona for the last 3 years, so I'm not used to this anymore. But yeah, the things that LAPD will respond to, like so many other agencies, unfortunately, the list of things they don't enforce anymore has gotten longer and longer. And so yeah, this is the sort of thing you can expect when you tell the cops, don't respond to this sort of crime.
Wow. Well, and you can see he's busted out the driver's side mirror here. So he's done significant property damage and probably scared the dickens out of these poor people in the car. Now, we're going to talk about lessons from that as we get through there, but you can see him continuing to yell. Now, what's going to happen is they are eventually going to wander off, and somebody else calls the police and has them respond to this because this car is going to drive completely off. We have badge cam of their interaction. Hold on to your hats, everybody. It's going to get fun.
You talking to us?
Nah, I'm talking to you.
Okay. What's wrong? Hey. Dude, what's wrong? What's wrong with you, dude?
Yeah, get your back up.
What's wrong? What's wrong?
I'm leaving.
What is wrong with you?
You get the f out. I'm leaving, you homie.
Are you gonna fight me? Are you trying to fight me? Is that it?
Something, dog. Take off your badge.
Are you trying to fight me? Huh?
Trust me.
You are gonna get tased. Hey, what'd you ask? Hey,
what's up? Hey, honey.
dude.
What's up, baby girl? Keep the gang on the barrio. Get on my face, homie. Don't talk. You're not even from around here. Son? Son? Don't tell me what the f to do, homie. I know what the f to do. Feel me? Don't tell me what the f to do.
Step back, dude.
I'm gonna get the f out, but don't tell me what the f to do, homie. Don't tell me what the f to do. Because I do what the f I want, homie.
I understand that.
I don't give a f. Don't tell me what the f to do, because I do what the f I want.
Step back. You just step back.
Put out a backup.
Hey, let me get a backup. Let me get a backup. 810 Soto, McDonald. Let me get a backup. Hey, just stay there. You got it?
Yeah.
Hold on.
Hey, let
me get my... Okay. Stand by. You got it?
Okay. Relax.
Don't move. You got it? Hey, don't move. Don't move.
Let me have
Don't move.
Relax.
Don't move. Don't move.
Just leave me upside down now.
Don't move.
I can't breathe, bro.
Relax.
Let
Relax.
go.
I'm relaxing.
Hey, bro, please leave me. All right, relax, bro.
Don't make it simple. Don't move. Don't move. Make it simple. Hey, hook him up.
Hook him up.
Hey, don't make it simple. Make it simple.
There we got it.
Don't move, dude.
You
caused all this.
Bro. What the f is wrong
You
with
caused
you
all
guys,
this.
bro?
There we got it. That's okay, buddy.
No,
Okay.
it's not okay, fool. You f***ing almost made me die.
Dude.
You
Caused all this.
Nah,
Not
you. I'm not gonna take that from you.
You caused all this, dude. You wanna sit on your butt?
What the f did I do? What the f did I do?
You wanna, dude? I'm asking you. You wanna sit on your butt? Yes, no.
You. I'm
Okay.
taking
Guess
court.
not.
So our choir boy may have had a potty mouth, but they ended up hooking him up for possession of narcotics and taking him off to jail for that because the person whose car was injured or damaged ended up not sticking around to press charges. We've got a lot of lessons to think about, and our foul-mouthed perp ends up getting off to jail and no harm permanently done to anyone. Mike, seriously, do cops take that kind of verbal abuse regularly?
Only daily, yeah.
Oh my gosh, man. We're going to talk about that in our lessons. But nobody's going to verbally abuse you on the podcast, right?
Well, other than you, no.
Okay,
No,
other than me,
Sorry.
no. We're going to tell real life stories of self-defenders and what they went through, what prepared them for their moment, how they handled it in the moment, and beyond. So if you've been in a self-defense encounter, specifically if there's video, get a hold of us. Email Mike at activeselfprotection.com, or just email him and tell him your life story. He'd totally love to hear from you.
Absolutely.
I think the first part of this one, we got to talk as private citizens here rather than as officers. Number one, make sure that you've got your doors locked. We talk about this on the channel all the time. Make sure your doors are locked. And I think, Mike, this is the place right here. Someone comes up, jerks on my door handle. I'm not sticking around to figure out what they want.
Yeah, even if I were still an LEO and armed, I wouldn't even bother taking my gun out. Foot on gas, leave the area. That's all you got to do. And then call the police who are on duty and say, hey, this guy just tried to carjack me, possibly.
Yeah, I mean, he tried to get into my car, tried to make forcible entry into my vehicle. That is kind of the definition of a carjacking. And an occupied vehicle, you make forcible entry into an occupied vehicle, and now you're talking about a forcible felony. So I think getting out of here is the right answer, but I think we're socially programmed. Wait, I'm waiting for my cheeseburgers. And so we're going to just wait and take that stuff. You've got to get out of that mindset as a self-defender that says, well, this is what I have to expect. You can see him rolling the window up and down waiting to take his Dr. Pepper here, right? No, man, get the heck out of there. And of course, if you don't, then what ends up happening is you end up taking damage and abuse, like exactly what goes down here is this guy's acting all kinds of crazy. You saw it on the badge cam and what went down, and he's gonna destroy the side view mirror. Now, I can tell you, on a modern vehicle, that's a couple $1,000s worth of damage to your car right there.
Yeah, that's no joke. Can I just point out for a moment, I think it's young lady who was trying to hold that soda out the window is so inured to this sort of behavior that she's like, dude, get your Dr. Pepper. That guy's here every day banging on people's windows.
I think we get just kind of used to this kind of violence when we live among it, but I would just strongly encourage all of my viewers, get out of here. Don't sit here and let this guy continue to abuse you. You don't know what he's got in his pockets. You don't know what other things he has available to him. Get out of there. Eventually, they finally do that without getting their fast food, and I think finally, eventually, that was smart. Get the heck out of the danger
that part
zone.
of the video made me very uncomfortable.
Yeah. Now let's talk about these officers coming up. And I really think this officer who's on this badge cam deserves a lot of credit. I got to be honest with you. I think he did a really good job in this one. Now, our big thing here is guys using purposeful ignorance and ignoring, and then comes up and immediately is aggressive, throws things, comes with an aggressive body posture and is saying, get out of my face, whatever. I'm going to get out. I'm leaving, but whatever. And he's like, hey, do you want to fight me or whatever? Now, I think the interesting thing here, Mike, I think if he has an OC spray, might have been a great time here to bless the deserving with the hot sauce.
Absolutely. Yeah, the moment he stood up, squared off, and then chucked something at his foot, he's already committed assault. He's under arrest. He's not cooperating. And I think the reason maybe he hesitated, the wind might have been in his back and he would have cross-contaminated his partner. But if that weren't the case, absolutely perfect time for some OC spray.
Yeah, and I do think that the officers did a really good job here of setting themselves up for that L-shaped ambush and keeping from, being on the same place with the guy. But you can't make contact with everybody. They can't even really kind of, get this guy's name or whatever. Clearly he is being non-compliant, high emotions, contaminated thinking at some level, very difficult to, try to de-escalate somebody like this.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we've already watched the video, so I think Officer Tuck did exactly what he needed to do. No more, no less.
Yeah, no more, no less in that moment. Now, you notice here, and here's what I want to pay attention to, is you see he's got a fist balled up. You can see his facial expressions. And a couple things here. Number one, telling the guy to relax. That's like telling your wife to calm down in the middle of a fight. It's really not going to be very effective.
Oh, I thought you meant that always works.
Yeah, no, never is going to work.
Works.
Second thing here, I would recommend that the officer that is on our badge cam right now, put your radio away. You're going to need both hands here pretty quick.
Yeah, fellas, my LE friends, please, 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 if your agency doesn't pay for it, spend the $20-$30 and at least get a pork chop mic to put on your lapel or on the seam of your shirt, or get a kit, preferably get a kit where you have an earpiece in so the bad guys can't hear that they have a warrant. And that way you've got a microphone right in front of you and your hands are already, they're free and they're in an FI stance where you can get your hands to work if you need to.
All right, so now we got to talk about the big thing here. He dives in on this guy and absolutely goes to work on him. Now, I know some people are going to ask, Mike, now wait a minute, the guy was not physically resisting in this moment. What do you think of this use of force?
Yeah, absolutely justified. Listen, OC perhaps wasn't an option because of the wind or whatever other factor it is. I wouldn't try a taser on this guy, and you can't shoot him. What else have you got? You can hit him with a stick, which would damage him almost certainly, or you can do what Officer Tuck did. You can ride 7 seconds on the Knucklehead Rodeo.
Wow. And I mean, I think here, the big thing that I see is that he used enough force early enough to keep him from having to use more force later. And when it's time to go hands-on, you can see the guy's got his fist balled up. He's been wanting a fight. He's already committed assault against an officer by throwing things at him, whatever. And I think these officers do everything they can to keep from having to use force, but at some point you go, nope, in order to protect this guy who's clearly not in his right mind, clearly agitated, clearly non-compliant, to protect him, I need to take him to the ground and get him in custody right now.
Yeah, the most appropriate level of force as quickly as possible. The idea being, we don't want to have to then break off if we do a halfway takedown or we try to play slap and tickle with this guy. Next thing you know, now he's fighting with us and we're throwing punches. Yeah, Officer Tuck did a tremendous job in just ending this entire thing very quickly.
So now we can see the entire takedown gets him down quickly. And again, I know folks are going to talk here about the use of a neck restraint, but I think actually having that neck restraint didn't do any physical permanent damage to this guy at all, but definitely took the fight out of him. And this is why results like this are why I think that leaving neck restraints in a law enforcement officer's repertoire is important.
Absolutely. Anytime they remove a tool from our proverbial tool belt, it hurts the general public. It means that we have fewer tools to do the job that we need to do. This gentleman was talking throughout this entire event. If he's talking clearly like that, he's clearly able to breathe. So there was no immediate risk to his life. I think this was textbook.
I really do. And I think that he didn't end up putting him out, but it did get him to comply because it is very uncomfortable. And the officer did that very well in such a way that he did him no injury. It hurt, but it did him no injury. And this is why I think the use of neck restraints in law enforcement should be maintained and even expanded, because this level of force kept them from having to shoot the guy, kept them from having to use the batons.
And I think it's worth noting, you and I have both been choked out before, and we're here to tell the tale.
Yeah. Does happen on the reg. And if you notice here, guess what? All the use of force stops when they get him into custody. Now, let's talk as well. I think that we have to spend some time here, Mike, talking about the fact that the officer whose badge cam that we are watching has his knee on the suspect. And of course, in light of George Floyd and Derek Chauvin, this is a big deal in our community. But I think this officer was doing it right.
Absolutely. He's pinning that shoulder effectively. He's putting just enough weight to immobilize this guy. I would like to see the knee a little bit more to the right, a little closer to the neck, but not on the neck. I have to say, I'm retired, I can say what I want now. I thoroughly disagree with whatever Minnesota was training their officers to put knees on necks. Terrible idea.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
But putting it on his shoulder like he's got here will pin this guy, immobilize him, and he's using his shin on the shoulder, not his knee on the neck. And that is a good technique. And we have to be able to see the difference between them and have to know how to use them. So good law enforcement agencies today are teaching this technique that we see right here on camera.
Yeah, my former agency was teaching it in 2009.
Good work, guys. So here's the thing. I think that what we got to see on this camera is somebody's going to look at this and say, oh, wait a minute, this was bad. You know, he puts his knee on his neck. This is like, a George Floyd. No, this is the exact opposite of that, because instead this is pinning him to the ground so that he can't resist anymore. And then what we're going to see is now they've got him in cuffs. He's going to pull that off very quickly because the guy's not resisting anymore. Now he just wants to yell some more and use some more F words.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, he's no choir boy. I feel like from the beginning of this incident, he would really just wanted someone to hit him.
Well, I mean, obviously, clearly he's looking for a fight. He was looking for a fight at the drive-through window.
Yeah.
As soon as the officers showed up, he's looking for a fight. So the officers knew that coming in, and of course, with all the actions that we had going on. So these are the kinds of things that I think that our officers do every day and do so well. So make sure you're practicing that, guys. Make sure that you're getting there. And honestly, I'd recommend get to your grappling classes, get to your jiu-jitsu, those kinds of things. And I love this. He gets him on there and he just goes, "It's okay, buddy.
Yeah.
We're okay." And he didn't take it personally. I think these officers had the skin of a rhinoceros, and I think our officers deal with this kind of abuse every day. I know you did.
Yeah, we were talking earlier about this. When you're in LE, remember, the person doesn't know you, you don't know, you might know them, but chances are you don't know the person you're interacting with. When he's throwing F-bombs and he's imputing the character of your mother and grandmother, remember, he's talking to your badge, he's talking to your uniform, he's talking to the police car, he's not talking to you, he doesn't know you. So you can't take any of this stuff personally, it has to roll off your back.
So I think these officers did a great job. They wanted to roll him onto his behind when he was ready to. He didn't want to. He's being non-compliant. They eventually got him up. You go watch the longer version. But I think these cops did a great job. And I know some people might look at this and go, well, wait a minute. Why did they use the neck restraint? Why did they, hold him on the ground like this? But actually, I think this was exactly the right thing. And I think videos like this show us why we want to keep these in the repertoire of law enforcement.
Officer Tuck, we're both fans. If you're ever in Arizona, look us up. We'll buy you a beer.
Hey, man, you covered your ass. See real?